Introducing the Litter League with Environmental, Second Hands Dumfries, the Sortinator, Mushy Mac and the E-Whale. They're the elite team keeping Armidale clean. The Litter League, cleaning up the streets.
Dancing's always been my passion. I run afternoon tea dances and classes within the city of Armidale. I love running these classes because of the camaraderie. The people are absolutely wonderful. It's fantastic to deal with the city of Armidale. They make everything available to us. I hire the Armidale District Hall, which is 5 minutes from our house. We're also at the Kelmscott Hall when we have bigger volumes of people, and always great facilities, including the kitchen, which of course the kitchen's very important. As much as the dance floor is important for us, the kitchen's also equally important. We have people that come that have never danced before in their lives, and people that have lost other people, and come and enjoy meeting other people and connecting with other people. And seeing them dance from never dancing before is incredibly rewarding, puts a smile on everyone's face.
The city of Armidale has grown, developed and strengthened what they're doing, the access and inclusion. We're starting in Shipwreck Park, which is a fully all-inclusive, all-abilities play space that has accessible toilets and a change-in-place facility. The city had nowhere for children or adults with disability to go as a family. So the city, along with Stockland, got together, created a working group, and we started working on that magnificent facility that you see behind that was officially open on International Day of Disability.
City of Armidale's Access and Inclusion Plan is to keep the city accountable and things are made better for the future for access and inclusion.
The events team has grown and strengthened, and in particular is a Perth Chill Run and the Armidale Hunt and Gathering, on which are two fully inclusive and accessible events.
It's really great to see the community get involved with each other and not being excluded. I've got to make sure everyone's included with all the events we do, or just being in the parks together, and that's just fantastic.
The most vital importance is that community voices are heard along in partnership with the city of Armidale, strengthening access and inclusion for everyone for the future.
The city has a great number of facilities where you can go to learn new skills, meet new people, and just to learn a wide variety of things. We've got the museum here, we've got the Bert Tyler Vintage Machinery Museum at the Visitor Centre, and there's the Bert Whistle Local Studies Library at Armidale Library as well. It's nice to look back, where did we come from? How did we get here? The purpose of History House is to collect, preserve, and to then exhibit, as you can see around me, the history of the city of Armidale. We've been doing that since 1976, and since then we've been trying to expand the stories that we tell. It's great seeing the reactions from the local community and also the outside community when people come to visit. A lot of them are surprised at how long the history here goes and all the different things that we've had here, from winemaking to brick making and to the different communities that live here. We've got amazing collections, so if you've got an object that you think is really important that tells the history of the Armidale, come in and talk to us, and if you're willing to donate it, chances are we'll be willing to take it with our great story. One of the things I love about working in the City of Armidale and at the History House Museum is just the wide world that I get to play in. I love history, and the city has got great history.
Would you all be upstanding for Her Worship, Mayor Ruth Butterfield?
Thanks for being here, everyone. I will acknowledge that we are meeting tonight on the lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people, and I pay my respects and all of our respects to their elders, past and present. I declare the meeting open at, 1 minute past 7, and announce that we have a full complement of councillors apart from Councillor Thomas, who has a previously granted leave of absence. So, and we have a full complement of executive directors to assist us tonight, and of course our CEO. So thank you for being here, everybody. Advice of response to previous public questions taken on notice. There aren't any. That brings me to public question time. Do I have any questions from members of the public? If you step forward and give your name and suburb, please.
Okay, Roger Harrington. Actually, I live in Oakford, but I'm representing environmental groups of the City of Armidale. So these questions refer to item 11.1, the motion put forward by Councillor Mosley regarding Settlers Common Environment Centre being replaced like for like. As mentioned, these questions are on behalf of the registered environmental groups of Armidale. Are other councillors aware that the original centre had only very basic facilities, basically a kitchen and outdoor toilets? This limited the use of and expansion of the building. Are the councillors aware that the group members of the Bushcare Environmental Working Group, BUG, with the users of the Environmental Centre, are very grateful to the City for Armidale for their support after the fire. They are keen to work with the City to rebuild the Environmental Centre. The fire, although tragic, is an opportunity to establish a leading environmental education and information centre, overcoming the limitations of the old EC, Environmental Centre. Members over the past years have had discussions with the City to improve the Environmental Centre area, and members are willing to wait to have a building that reflects the commitment the City has to the natural bushland located within its boundaries,
Okay, I'm just going to stop you there for a tick and ask if there's the first question you asked was, were we aware of the old facility and that it had basic facilities? I'm sure that many of the councillors had been there before and were aware of its state at the time that it burnt down and what it could do. Yep. So next question.
Okay, is the council aware of the Bugue members and the members have been over the past years have had discussions with the council to improve the incentive, and we're willing to wait to have a new building that reflects the commitment the city has to the natural bushland located within its boundary, which the matter which is over 70%. Okay. Council is aware that the community building of this nature could attract significant funding from Lotties West, state and federal governments if correct planning, including community consultation, is undertaken, which will significantly reduce the cost to the council.
Thank you. We'll be dealing with it. Okay, so you've had a couple of questions. I do note that we've got other people in the audience, and I might just shuffle the questions around. So at the moment, I will ask if there's anyone else that has a question to ask today. Thank you. So I'll come back to you if you've got more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just like to thank, my name is James Rye from Piara Waters. I'd like to thank the CEO, directors and the staff for the work that has gone into preparing the budget. It is very much appreciated. My question, given that the city received 273 submissions and that the latest local government cost index is 3.5%, the one in June, what has changed in the budget or what alternatives is the council willing to consider as a result of feedback before adopting the 4.8% general rates increase today? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Rye. I would just like to ask the CEO if she could give us some more information about the Walga cost index, because I think there's some nuance there that hasn't been portrayed in your question. So I'll just hand over.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Ray, the Walga forecast that was provided in March actually had a baseline scenario for the LGCI of 3.1%. But what they also modelled was a scenario that dealt with the fuel shock. So there was 3.1% as their base, but even in March, they were saying there is significant potential for a 4.8% LGCI. What we've now seen in their latest forecast is that base has risen from 3.1 to 3.5. And as recently as Friday, there's also been information released by the West Australian Treasury Corporation, and that is showing a dramatic increase in fuel costs, and that's as a result of the escalating conflict in the Middle East and impacts not only in the Strait of Hormuz, but also in relation to the strait through which a lot of the Saudi Arabian oil is being exported from, and also being cognizant of the fact that there have been oil reserves that have been buffering the fuel price up until now. So in releasing that increased 3.5 LGCI, Walga were also very mindful of advising local governments to really plan for a whole range of alternate scenarios, and that is why the recommendation in the report has been sustained at 4.8.
Thank you, CEO. Is there any further questions from members of the public?
Just have one more question. Are the councillors aware that over the past 6 years, Buick members have contributed over $1.9 million in volunteer hours, have worked closely with the City of Armidale's Environmental Department, Events Department, Visitor Centre and other departments to promote Armidale's natural bushland within the city and outside the City of Armidale? A purpose-built building can only improve and advance the credentials of the City of Armidale. So I hope, and thank you for your listening to my statements. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that if the councillors didn't know, they do now. Thank you very much. Are there any further questions from members of the public?
I'm asking this question. Would it be proper for me to indulge in asking that I may make some comments about the building, ACCA, the Environmental Centre?
You could say, do councillors know? As long as we do have a very full agenda, so if it's pretty short...
Pretty quick.
Yeah, pretty quick. Yeah. Okay, that's great.
I'm asking or telling people that like for like means that we need to see a building that was put up there back in not that far ago, in 1992 or thereabouts, as a study centre. Now, over the years, it was used by school groups for workshops and so on, as a place for walkers to assemble before taking off on a walk. And then suddenly it evolved into the Environmental Centre. Well, if a building's going to go back there, does it have to be like it was before? Or are we going to see a fully purposed building for a greater environmental centre?
Well, we're discussing that item later, but like for like means a building of a certain size with a certain basicness to it, because that's all that the insurance will pay for. So, but we're having that discussion later during this this evening, so it's on the agenda. If you do have a further question, I'll take that.
So if the site for an environmental centre is not going to go on the site where study centre was, will the Armidale Settlers Common Working Group have a building put back there?
That's a very good question, and I'll have to take it on notice, because those that is, I guess, part of a broader discussion on where to go, where... Yes, exactly.
Well, thank you.
I have to take it on notice.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Are there any further questions from members of the public?
Just the last one, follow up from my previous question. So I'm thinking you didn't make any changes to the budget proposal. City of Gosnell, City of Swan, City of Perth reduced the proposed rates once they took feedback. Is City of Armidale considering today maybe to also take on the feedback and maybe suggest a lower rate? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure that will be answered as we go through the agenda tonight. Thank you. If that's the last question, just one last chance. No, nobody's moving. Okay, I'll close public question time and move into the agenda where we have applications for leave of absence. I haven't received any. No. Petitions. Are there any petitions for submission tonight? No. Confirmation of minutes. Could I ask that someone confirm the minutes attached to this meeting represent a true and correct record? Councillor Sargison, thank you very much, has moved that they're a true and correct record. Do I have anyone opposed? If no one's opposed, thank you, that's carried. Announcements by the person presiding without discussion. I do have some there. They will be printed with the agenda, but I understand that we do have quite a full agenda tonight, so I won't bother reading out any of those. Questions by members of which due notice have been given without discussion. We don't have any. Reports. We will move into the reports for tonight. So we begin on page... Development Services Committee. Is the Chair prepared to move receipt of the minutes of that meeting?
Yes, subject to any corrections, of which I had none.
Thank you. Chair has moved receipt of those minutes. Do I have anyone opposed? No one opposed? Thank you. That's carried. And we will move into the agenda itself and find on page 10, 1.1, Development Contribution Plan, number 3, North Forestdale Infrastructure Cost Schedule Review of 2026, final adoption. And the recommendation comes on page 16. Page 17, 2.1, final adoption, amendment number 124, Town Planning Scheme number 4, Kelmscott District Centre Precinct Structure Plan, implementation, with the recommendation coming on page 24 and going all the way to page 29. Page 30, 2.2, final adoption, amendment number 129 for TPS number 4, extension to operating time period of North Forestdale Development Contribution Plan number 3 and minor modifications. And the recommendation comes on page 35. And that brings us to the end of the agenda. If the Chair is prepared to move all those items.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. Thank you. That's carried. Brings us now to the minutes of the Corporate Services Committee. Is the Chair prepared to move receipt of those minutes?
Yes, please, Mayor. I would like to move the minutes of the Corporate Services Committee meeting held on Tuesday, 21st of July, subject to any corrections, of which I have none.
Thank you. Chair has moved receipt of those minutes. Is there anyone opposed? No one's opposed. Thank you. That's carried. 1.1, list of accounts paid, May 2026. And the recommendation comes on page 44. Page 45, 1.2, statement of financial activity for May 2026, with the recommendation coming on page 51. We do need an absolute majority for this one, so I'll ask the Chair if you're prepared to move it.
Yes, so moved, please.
Thank you. Chair has moved. Is there anyone opposed? No one's opposed. Thank you. That's carried, and an absolute majority has been achieved. We'll move on now to page 52, 2.1, 2026, Walga Local Government Convention and registration of voting delegates for the annual general meeting in September of 2026. And we have that recommendation coming on page 54. Page 55, 3.1, National Economic Development Conference 2026, with the recommendation coming on page 58. Councillor Mosey, you're on your feet.
Yes, so I do have a slight amendment to that recommendation that will hopefully shortly be appearing on your screens, with just a slight oversight that we'd forgot to approve leave of absence for those of us attending that conference.
And so with that addition, you're moving that one?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So which dates need changing, CEO?
That's a different motion.
Okay. Those dates are correct now. So, Councillor Mosey, you're moving that recommendation?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Is there anyone opposed? If no one's opposed, thank you, that's carried. We'll now move to page 59, 3.2, 2026 Annual Growth Areas Alliance, NGAA, National Congress at the City of Hume, Victoria, 4th to the 7th of August 2026. Councillor Silva.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to change the recommendation for either no one to attend or see if there were any other councillors that would like to attend, as I can no longer do so.
Certainly. If you withdraw your name and...
Yes, withdraw.
Okay, thank you. I'll just ask then if any other councillor would like to attend that small conference. If not, Councillor Silva, you're moving that change? Thank you. Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Mosey?
I'm not opposed at all. I just would like to see what the motion actually says, because right now it says that council nominate Councillor M. Silva to attend. So that would now say that council nominate blank to attend.
Which will be that council do not provide a delegate to attend.
Do we need that on screen? No? Yes? Are you happy with that, Councillor Silva?
Yes, yeah. I just want to chuck in the actual name of the... Oh, okay. No, sorry.
Thank you. Councillor Silva has moved that recommendation. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. Thank you. That's carried. Okay. Next one, page 62, 3.3 early payment rate incentive scheme referral item. Councillor Singh, you're on your feet.
Thank you. Just want to move to amendment on that one. Item number 3.3.
Sorry, have you given your change?
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm asking the council tonight to build this. I'm not asking the council tonight to build a scheme, just asking for the report. So as a committee can look at this properly and with the fact is the front of it. The idea is simple: reward the people for the paying their rate in a full and on time. When the rates come in earlier, the city earn more interest and investment income and spend the less cost in debts and small capital initiative under $3,000, funded by sponsorship, not by the service budget, could be cost very little and return more than the cost. So please, gentlemen, look on that, my amendment on it.
Thank you, Councillor Singh. Can I ask, I'm just going to ask a question of the CEO, if you can just bear with me.
Yeah.
Councillor Singh, wonder if I just might ask you if you would be willing to change one word in your recommendation.
Yes, please.
So in point A, the potential benefits, if you could say potential impacts.
Yeah, potential impact. I'm happy with
that. Would you be happy with that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. If we change that there. And then I'll ask if we...
Madam Mayor, could I ask a question on this motion?
Certainly.
When? It doesn't say when. Is this going to a future Corporate Services Committee meeting for rates next year to have a look at things and what we might do then? Or is this actually saying we want to do this now after we've already done our budget, so this would change dramatically on how it affects our budget, etc., etc., etc.?
Well, my reading of the recommendation says it's asking for a report when the opportunity arises. As we heard at a committee meeting, the opportunity for extra reports at the moment was very slim, and it was very tight with staffing and the ability to write reports. So Councillor Singh has just written that as far as being flexible, as far as I can see. Are there any further questions, or is there anyone to second the motion? Thank you, Councillor Newman. Anyone opposed? Councillor Sargison, you're opposed. Councillor Newman, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you. Yes, I will speak to the motion. I thank Councillor Singh for bringing this to the council, because I think that there's a really good opportunity for us to speak to our residents and give them an opportunity to be rewarded and recognised for providing their rates upfront and in full. It is something that we encourage as a local government. It is helpful to our finances, and it does provide the city with an opportunity to leverage interest on those payments early in the year. What Councillor Singh is proposing is essentially a raffle prize to encourage people to undertake an early payment in full and upfront. The city does provide a lot of really good opportunities for people to opportunities for people who are under hardship, and opportunities for people who would like to undertake monthly payments or payments by other arrangements. We don't want to change that, but it does come at a cost to us as an organisation. Not receiving those funds up front means that we lose the interest opportunity on that funding.
Councillor, you know we're just talking about getting a report.
Yes, that's fine. I'm still putting forward my argument. Thank you. I think it is important that we look at a report. It is important that we consider all of these factors, and it is important that we remind ourselves that Councillor Singh's motion is looking at external funding. It is not about getting the city to pay for prizes. It is not about the city underwriting a discount for people who pay up front. It is about the city and their staff working with local businesses to seek opportunities for sponsorship, to provide prizes or other opportunities to people who enter into the rate prize draw up to about $3,000. So I commend the motion to the group, and I would really ask you to support this opportunity for a proper report to look at what resourcing this would look like and how we can deliver this as a city.
Thank you, Councillor Newman. Councillor Sargison, you opposed?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you. Councillor Singh has proposed a discount for ratepayers who pay their local government rates in advance. Although this idea has been raised before and may seem attractive, especially to those who can afford to pay up front, it creates significant challenges. The appeal of pay less, save money and be rewarded is understandable, but that is precisely where the problems begin. Council has already undertaken years of work to reach the current budget position, ensuring cost benefits are maximised in the most equitable manner possible. The budget reflects long-term financial modelling, extensive staff effort and numerous councillor briefings. It is a carefully balanced outcome, not an arbitrary figure. Introducing a discount at this stage effectively shifts the goalpost by creating an immediate deficit. Much of the expenditure has already been shaped, and every dollar raised represents the difference between revenue and expenditure, ultimately returned to ratepayers through services and programs. If revenue is reduced, the question becomes unavoidable. Where will the shortfall be recovered? The only possible source is the broader ratepayer base. This means residents who do not or cannot pay annually would be required to subsidise those who choose to pay upfront. Such an outcome undermines the equity and contradicts the principles that underpin our long-term financial planning. Once the budget is set, it should not be altered. The modelling, historical testing and disciplined planning that support it are evidence in its reliability and success. The goalposts must remain where they are. In summary, the budget, once established, should remain intact. Our long-term planning and proven financial strategies have demonstrated their success. Therefore, it is essential that we maintain our established course and retain the current recommendation as outlined on page 61.
Thank you, Councillor Sargison. Is there anyone to speak for the motion? Councillor Keogh.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, as we discussed at the committee meeting earlier last week, I raised my views that I think it would be great for us to explore ways in which we encourage people to get on the smarter way to pay system, and this is possibly an opportunity to encourage people to do that. However, I also recognise that part of the information provided to us at that committee meeting was that the city is mindful of providing a range of ways in which residents can pay, whether it would be upfront or throughout the year, or many ways throughout the year. So I'm also mindful of that without wanting to promote just one way that the city encourages residents to pay. But having said that, I'm open to getting a report from the city officers to allow us to make an informed decision on this matter, where we can maybe discuss a little bit more in depth. So I'm happy to see a report come to council for us to see what other avenues are possibly available to us. So I'm happy to get the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Keogh. Anyone to speak against the motion? Anyone to speak for?
Thank you, Mayor. As I reiterated at the meeting the other night too, I think we need to focus that we're only asking for a report here, so we don't really need to wade into the details of the item. We do plenty of other reports for other councillors on other matters, so I don't see why Councillor Singh can't have the same, being given the same courtesy, and also he's not committed a deadline, so he's quite aware of how busy this department is and that it might not be until next year or middle of next year. So I think that's quite reasonable. So I have many questions I still want to be asked, like if I would like the comparisons of other local governments to see what percentage that they have rates paid up front, and if all the facts as well of whether it affects the interest, like we discussed the other night, I want it all down on paper. So I think based on those facts, I think it'd be fine to pass this through, and I hope that others consider that as well.
Thank you, Councillor Silva. Is there anyone to speak? Well, I think we've had enough going back and forth. There's no one to speak against it at this stage. Councillor Busby, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'm not going to speak against it. We're only asking for a report, but I think when we get the report will probably be the time we can debate a lot more. But it is important to know that this council has never agreed and never supported doing this for one reason, in the sense that it rewards the wealthy and doesn't help those who are paying through our, pay-as-you-go to actually be able to pay their rates on time, which I believe, hopefully the report will say we should actually recognise those, and our competition should be, if we're going to do it, for all people who pay their rates on time and when it's due. Because the whole rate thing we've been debating is cost of living, and we're actually going to say for those who can afford it, we'll reward you and those not. But because it's a report and it's not a report demanding a time frame, and it's when resourcing permits, because it'll probably cost us more for this, 5 times more for the report than we'll actually give back to the community. So I'm not sure our budget's going to benefit for it, but I'm happy to support getting a report sometime in the future.
Great, thank you very much. Councillor Singh, would you like to wrap up?
Thanks, Chair. I'm just asking for the report here, and I'm not asking to take this money out of our budget, and we're asking to local business. They can sponsor us and we can hand out the vouchers, and that's how we are promoting the local business, and we're helping the people and recognize the people who they're paying upfront, and it's not we taking away anything from anyone. And thanks, Councillor. I really need your support on those things, and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Singh. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? All those opposed? Thank you. Motion is passed. Thank you, Councillor Singh and everybody. We'll now move into the Chair, are you prepared to move all the items which we haven't not already dealt with? Yes. Who's got their light on? Too many people.
Yes, please. So moved.
Thank you. Okay, now we move to the Chief Executive Officer's report of the 27th of July 2026. Gosh, is it that time of the year already? Can I have a mover for the receipt of this? Thank you. Councillor Peter is moving receipt of this report. Do I have anyone opposed? No one's opposed. Thank you. That's carried. Now we'll go to the first item, which is on page 66, 1.1, 2025 CEO Performance Review and Key Performance Indicators for 2026-27 for the Chief Executive Officer. I will move that to the final, to the confidential section of the agenda, so we'll deal with it later.
And may I declare an interest in that item, Mayor, as it deals with my performance review?
Yes, when the time comes. So we're moving that recommendation on page 67 to the end of the agenda. Brings us to page 68, 1.2, Councillors' Information Bulletin, issue number 111, 2026. And that recommendation is on the bottom of page 68. Thank you, Councillor Peter has moved that. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. Thank you. That's carried. Brings us now to page 69, the annual budget. Thank you very much, everybody.
Coin toss, don't we?
Who's the light on, Mayor?
Ahmed does. Ahmed does. There's 2 lights on. Ahmed has his on.
Oh.
All right, I'll give to Peter if he's the one to go first. I can do second for him. Yeah.
I actually saw you first, Councillor Silva.
Yes, I'd just like to move an alternative recommendation. I believe the wording was sent by Councillor Peter. Yes.
Mayor, if you're checking on the broadcasting, we can see who is put the light on the YouTube. It is easy to find out. Can I ask, through your permission, Chris, we can do it?
Nope. Sorry, it's the presiding member's choice. So sorry if you wear something loud. So even if all of you get up at the, pretty much the same time, it's my choice. So I'm sorry, you're moving the same recommendation though, aren't you? Yeah. It's my belief that you're moving the same recommendation. It now, so we have got that written up somewhere. Okay, councillors, we've got the recommendation in front of us. Councillor Silva, would you like to speak to it?
Yeah, just quickly, my insight into my position on this. Throughout the budget process, I've consistently advocated for a responsible approach to spending and for keeping the rate.
Councillor, would you like to put your microphone on? I would like to...
Sorry, I did have it on. Would you like me to start again? No? It recognises that the city still has financial responsibilities to meet while also noting the continued cost of living pressures being experienced by our community. It allows us to continue providing the services our residents rely on. If this alternative motion is not successful, I believe we need to be mindful of the decision we make today and how it impacts future budgets. I'll be looking to ensure that when we prepare next year's budget, we carefully consider any additional amount raised above what was required this year. That additional revenue should not simply become an opportunity to fund further projects or increase spending. It should be considered as part of setting next year's rate and reducing the burden on our ratepayers where possible. For those reasons, I will be supporting this alternative motion.
Thank you, Councillor Silva. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Singh, thank you. Do I have anyone opposed? Thank you, Councillor Hetherington. Councillor Singh, would you like to speak to this motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm the second this amendment, and I want to speak to it plenty, not about the spreadsheet, but about the people who open to our rate notice. Every household in the city will open the envelope from us. For many of them, it's land on the kitchen table, and they already has too many bills on it. The mortgage has gone up, the rent has gone up, the weekly shop costs more than it did last year and the year before that. Power, water, insurance, petrol, school shoes, all of it. The people of Armadale is not struggling because they are careless with the money. They're struggling because everything all at once has become more expensive and the pay has not kept up. So we set the rate rise. We are not just balancing a budget. We are deciding how much more pressure to place on the family who already stretched. That's the real decision in front of us tonight. The gap between 4.8% and 3.8% may look like a small on paper, but is not small on the kitchen table. That 1% stay with the pensioner on the fixable income. It stay with the young family who bought their first home at the very top of what they can afford. It stay with the small business owner trying to keep their door open and staff on. For those households is every ward, every corner in the city. Every dollar we choose not to take, it's a dollar that left for the something that's matter to them. And consider where each figure sit. Inflation in the Western Australia forecast around 3.75% of the coming year. And Valga, our own sector, peak body, forecast the local government cost index that measure what is actually cost to run to council at just 3.1% for the year ahead. So 3.8% can already sit above those marks. It's more than a cover our rising cost. 4.8% goes further still, asking our ratepayer to carry a raise well behind the inflation and well beyond the Valga say the cost us to deliver. When we can hold close to the cost of the living rather than climbing above it, I believe we should. There is a question of fairness too. Relief should not be something you have to apply or prove you deserve. A low rate rise reach to everyone, every suburb, every street, every ratepayer automatically and equally. It asks no one to fill out the form or declaration hardship. It simply say, we hear you and we are asking for the little less this year because we know this year is hard. I understand the pressure on this budget could rise for just they do for everyone else, but I would rather this council to be remembered for showing restraint when our community needs it than for taking the maximum simply because we could. When times are tight for the people we serve, they should be tight for us as well. So we should feel it too. 3.8% still fund the service of community development on. What is also does it send a message that is cost of living crisis, their council choose to stand with them and not add the weight on they already carry. And keep us honest against on a benchmark. Valga, our own local cost index, sit on a just 3.1%. 3.8% already cover that in full. 4.8% asking to our ratepayers for more than a sector itself says it's cost to run the council. That's why I'm not supporting this I'm supporting the 3.8%, and I'm asking my councillor follow to support that too.
Thank you, Councillor Singh. Is there, Councillor Hetherington.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got a few notes that I'm going to read from as well this evening. So, firstly, I think it goes without saying that I want to thank everyone that has contributed to this discussion so far, and those that will as we debate tonight. But whether members support this budget or not, I think everyone around this table genuinely wants what is best for the community. The difference isn't in that objective, but the difference is in how we believe we achieve it. So throughout the speakers already, we've heard concerns about affordability. Those concerns are valid. None of us are immune from the economic pressures that our residents are experiencing, bearing in mind that everybody in this circle here is one of the residents in this community. But acknowledging those pressures does not remove our responsibility to fund the services, infrastructure and facilities that people rely on every day. So tonight we're not voting simply on a budget. We are making a decision about what kind of city we want to be over the next 12 months and over the years ahead, and whether we are prepared to make the responsible decisions necessary to sustain it. When Council considered the proposed rates last month, again I spoke about the pressures facing our community. Those pressures have not disappeared. Families continue to feel the impact of rising costs, and I understand why many residents would prefer to see rates increase as little as possible. But our responsibility as elected members extends beyond recognising those concerns. It is to ensure that this city remains financially sustainable and capable of delivering those services, facilities and infrastructure that our community relies upon every day. This budget has not appeared overnight. It's the product of months of planning, workshops, detailed financial modelling and consideration through our long-term financial plan. Councillors have worked through every stage of this process, from long-term financial strategies to capital works programs to operating budgets and finally to the budget that's before us tonight. This is not a budget that is built on guesswork. It's a budget built on planning. The reality is that the cost of running a city continues to increase. Employee costs continue to rise, construction costs continue to rise, materials, contracts, insurance, utilities and the maintenance all continue to rise. And as our population grows, so too does the demand for parks, for roads, for libraries, for sporting facilities, for waste collection, community programs and every other service that our residents rightly expect. None of those costs stand still, and this budget recognises that reality. It provides approximately $167 million in operating revenue to support the delivery of services across our city, whilst also investing more than $72 million into capital works that will renew existing assets, that will upgrade ageing infrastructure and deliver new facilities to our growing community. Importantly, this is not a budget that simply spends ratepayer money indiscriminately. Only around 5.3 million, just over 7% of the capital investment program is funded directly from municipal funds. The overwhelming majority is funded through grants, developer contributions and reserves that have been deliberately accumulated for specific purposes, loan funds and other dedicated funding services, and that's how good financial management should work. We maximise external funding wherever possible, we use restricted funds for the purposes that they were intended, and we minimise the burden placed directly on ratepayers. We are also continuing to invest in renewing the infrastructure we already own, approximately $27 million allocated to asset renewal. That matters because every road, every footpath, every drainage system, every building and every community facility we fail to maintain today becomes a far more expensive problem tomorrow. Responsible governments do not ignore those obligations, they plan for them. There has also been commentary suggesting council should simply draw more heavily on reserves instead of increasing rates, and again, while that might sound attractive, it misunderstands what reserves actually are. Reserves are not spare cash sitting in a bank account waiting to be spent. They represent money deliberately set aside for future asset renewal, major infrastructure, developer-funded projects and long-term commitments. This budget already includes the planned use of those reserves where appropriate, with around 19 million contributing to this year's capital program. Using them simply to reduce rates would not remove costs. It would merely postpone them while weakening our long-term financial position. Likewise, we continue to hear calls for greater efficiency, which of course I support. Every councillor around this table supports greater efficiency, but efficiency also has its limits. No amount of procurement reform or service reviews can eliminate inflation or absorb every increase in wages, construction costs, insurance premiums and utilities. Efficiency is a part of responsible financial management. It is not a substitute for sustainable revenue. I also think it's worth acknowledging something that is often overlooked, and this budget delivers significant investment while maintaining a balanced overall financial position. After accounting for operating activities, capital investment, financing arrangements and prior year funding carried forward, this budget essentially closes in balance. That's exactly what a well-managed budget should do. It delivers service, it invests in future, and it maintains financial sustainability. And it avoids leaving today's bills, importantly, it avoids leaving today's bills for tomorrow's ratepayers. The 4.8% general rate increase that Council previously endorsed remains appropriate. When that decision was made, it reflected the best information available regarding local government cost pressures. Since then, of course, as has been noted, WELGA has updated the forecasts, while also emphasising the uncertainty facing councils and the need to consider each local government's individual circumstance. We have heard some of that discussion tonight. Our circumstances have not changed. We remain one of the fastest growing local governments in Western Australia. We continue to experience significant infrastructure demands. We continue to inherit new assets that require ongoing maintenance long after they are gifted. And we continue to face increasingly operating costs across almost every area of our organisation. And this budget reflects those realities. It also reflects our commitment to continue delivering services while planning responsibly for the future. No budget is ever perfect. Every budget represents choices, but I believe this budget strikes the right balance between supporting our community today and protecting the city's long-term financial sustainability. It maintains essential services, it delivers significant investment in community infrastructure, it renews existing assets, it leverages funding wherever possible, and it provides a financially responsible pathway forward. So for those reasons, I support the adoption of the 26-27 annual budget, and I'd like to foreshadow that if this motion fails, that the original in the agenda tonight be put forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hetherington. I'm just going to bring to Councillors' attention the full change to the recommendation. So if we scroll through, and this might impact some people's debate and consideration of the item. So if we scroll through, there's quite a few changes here. So there is a difference in the levying of so the SARS amounts are changed. Councillor, do you have a question or?
I do have a question, and before you scroll past it, which you just did now, sorry, I thought I should ask it while we're still on that page.
Yep, sure.
If that's okay. So the minimum rate hasn't changed yet. The rate in the dollar has. Is that correct and fine? Just want to clarify that.
Can you?
Through you, Mayor, if I would like to invite the Executive Director of Corporate Services to explain to councillors why it is critical that that amount does not change in any recommendation that's put forward this evening, the minimum rate.
No, thanks. Yeah, if you don't mind.
So with that, happy to keep scrolling and we'll point out the differences. So the SARS amounts change, so are reduced obviously. In blue there, the waste charges. Would you like to explain that one as well?
Thank you again. So, councillors, with the intent of the change to the rate increase, we've also applied that to the waste charge. So instead of the 4.8% increase, we've applied a 3.8% increase. We have not applied that to any other fees and charges. And the reason
sorry, this is not your recommendation. This is somebody else's recommendation. This is the work that you've done on behalf of a councillor. Thank you. Just clarify that. And if we keep going, the next part that is impacted is at 15.
May there is an error on page number, recommendation number 5. I think it's a typo error. You have to change to from 2025-26. I think it's 2026 to 2027.
What, for
number,
the waste?
Number 5.
On the waste charge?
Yeah.
That one? Yep. Thank you. Okay, so if we're going now to 14. And we see there the changes. And then we see the deficit that we would be adopting. So there's a deficit in this one of 1.35 million, 305, sorry.
Sorry, Mayor, is it standard practice to go through every part of a recommendation? Because
this is a new recommendation that was very complicated, and yes,
well,
it is
every other year we haven't done this.
Sorry,
it just seems every other year we haven't done this.
We are doing it this year because this one's quite important. Well, it's councillors don't have it in front of them. In the past, we've had a discussion about a number, not quite so much detail. So we do have the suggested councillor, unless this is not your recommendation, Councillor Silva. Are we incorrect in putting?
Is that an appropriate question at this point?
Well, I'm asking you: is this?
It's a recommendation that I've moved.
Yes. So this is part of yours? Yes, it's part of it. Yep. Okay. Fine. Okay. So it is.
The motion is already moved, and I think it is not appropriate to discuss on each point. The preceding member is already moved, and is speaks to the motion, and someone is opposed, and the opposition is also talk to this chamber, and you try to influence the other councillors by explaining each point. So I think it is not a procedure. I would like to put a procedure motion if you like to continue this.
Sorry, thank you, Councillor Peter, for your advice or comment. I'll take that as a comment, and I'm actually acting on the CEO's advice with this, so that if I might just explain.
Through the chair, councillors did not see Councillor Peter on the screen, were not able to see the entire motion when it was moved. All they could see on the screen was the very first part of the motion that was moved, that related to the rate in the dollar and also to the SARS. It was incredibly important, and councillors need to be aware of what they are voting on. And it certainly was my message to the Mayor up here that we needed to scroll through, because councillors need to understand the basis of this motion is that there is a deficit. So council, for probably the first time in its history, would be adopting a deficit budget. Council has always adopted a balanced budget, and it is my role as the CEO to ensure that each member around this chamber knew what they were voting on. So yes, I did advise the Mayor, and yes, I believe it's critically important that councillors were aware, particularly of point 15.
I'm sorry if that explanation doesn't please you. However, I did have a copy just prior, so I was aware. Unfortunately, other councillors did not have a copy of it. it was probably very remiss of me not to run through the whole recommendation before people started their debate. But I did understand that you, Councillor Peter, and you, Councillor Silva, and potentially Singh as well, did have seen the whole recommendation, have got that advantage, but the other councillors have not had that advantage. So it is important to explain and point out the difference between this recommendation so that we are all on the same page and we do understand. And I'm sorry, Councillor Hetherington, you didn't have the opportunity to see the rest of your, the recommendation prior to your response. So with that explanation, we've got two people standing up. You can ask a question. You must be, sorry, Councillor Walinga, have you got a question?
No, it was a statement similar to what you've just said. I think it was a shame that this wasn't gone through in total at the beginning of the motion.
Okay,
it's
so
the timing that was the issue, I think, with the complaint of the fellow councillors.
Okay, thank you for that comment. Councillor Silva, do you have another question?
I just want to say I completely respect that. I understand that they need to see it. It was just the, then we just scroll through without the commentary would have been much more preferable, like we normally do.
Thank you for that comment, not question. That brings us right back to where we are, going through, scrolling through and pointing out the differences. And understanding that this is a adoption of many, many months of work, so I think it's appropriate that everyone has the opportunity to read and understand what's being proposed. So I think it's fair enough. So if anyone, I might just hand over to the CEO and ask, with this number 15, what is, you said that we haven't adopted a budget with a deficit before. What is the impact of that? Like, I've not experienced it before.
Thank you, Mayor. Certainly in my time at the city, I am not aware of the city adopting a deficit budget. I'm only aware of the city adopting balanced budgets. So this means obviously that you start the financial year needing to find $1.3 million. So there would be potentially, if there were a surplus, an opportunity for council to possibly try and reduce that. Council could possibly try and reduce it at the mid-year budget review. However, that may be a potentially difficult task if at the mid-year budget review you find yourself in, as we did in COVID, a rapidly escalating cost environment. So you're not only trying to, in your mid-year review, adjust for escalating costs, but also to try and address starting the year already $1.3 million behind. So it makes the task for the city over the next uncertain 12 months even more difficult, and council would have to be incredibly careful in terms of what solutions it does find, because you will carry that gap forward depending on how you choose to address that deficit.
And just one follow-up one. How many years can you run a deficit in your budget?
Procedural motion, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to move that this motion be put, please.
Okay, councillors, we've got a procedural here. So Councillor Newman has requested that the motion be put, so this motion be put. So this one that we're looking at now and getting some information about, with no more debate, gets voted on. No. Okay, so we're going to vote on that.
Yeah, no, Madam Mayor. I think every councillor needs to be able to have their for.
Sorry, you'll get your opportunity. Sorry, there's. Find out again.
Through the chair, a procedural motion does not allow for debate. I'm just double checking the outstanding orders. So 11.1D, that the question be now put. Yeah. So 11.22, the mover of a motion that the question be now put may not speak to the motion. The seconder is not to speak other than to formally second the motion, and there is to be no debate on the motion. So you effectively go straight to a vote to see if you want to go and then vote immediately on the motion. So first of all, you determine that whether you want to go straight to a vote, and then you actually have the vote, if that a procedural vote is successful.
Okay, Councillor Newman has put a procedural motion forward. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Hetherington, thank you. Do I have anyone opposed? Oh, there's only seconder and first, isn't there?
Yeah, and no one gets to speak anyway.
Okay, thank you. I'll put it to the vote then. All those in favour of us putting this motion and... Is that right?
That the question be now put?
The question now be put to the meeting. All those in favour? Okay, I think, and all those against? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so the motion is, that procedural motion is put, so I will put, so no more debate, we just vote on it. Okay, this is very different for us. So we are now voting on the recommendation in front of us with all these changes. I'll put it to the vote with no wrapping up, nothing. All those in favour of the recommendation? Thank you. All those against? Thank you. The motion is lost. And now we have a Councillor Hetherington. You put a foreshadowed motion. Would you like to move that?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just the motion that was already in the agenda.
Thank you very much. Is there...
Actually, with that slight amendment that Councillor, I think it was the fifth point, that had the incorrect date there, if we can just change that.
Yes. Thank you. Councillor Hetherington, you've moved. Is there a seconder for the motion? Thank you, Councillor Busby. Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Peters opposed. Councillor Hetherington, would you like to speak again?
Yeah, I can. But again, nothing too hugely. I won't revisit everything that's been said. But again, with this, budgets are about choice. Every proposal to reduce revenue has to be matched by a proposal to reduce expenditure, defer infrastructure or postpone investment. And there's no mechanism by which we can spend the same money twice. If we choose to collect less, then we actually have to choose to do less. That may be an acceptable position for some, but it should be stated honestly because there are real consequences to those decisions. This budget, as we've discussed, represents months of planning, detailed financial analysis and alignment with our long-term financial plan, and it balances today's needs with tomorrow's obligations. So, for me, leadership is not measured by whether we make popular decisions, it's measured by whether we make sustainable decisions, particularly when they're difficult. And we've had the opportunity to adopt a budget this evening that maintains services, that invests in our community and places the city on a sound financial footing for the years ahead. So for those reasons, I remain confident that supporting this budget is the right decision, and I encourage all councillors to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hetherington. Councillor Busby, would you like to speak?
Madam Mayor, I'll be fairly quick as well. Don't really want to hash this completely out. Just want to make a couple of points. That this is not a vote on rates, this is a vote on the whole budget, okay, which we could easily get confused of. I want to remind councillors, which I do every year, that local government, of all the taxes we get in rates and stuff, it's 3.5% of all the money we all pay. The rest comes from state and federal government, and I think we should be putting more effort into chasing our local, state and federal councils and having a go at us that we do every year for some reason, to save a ratepayer $20 to $50 a year by dropping 1%. Some incorrect statements were made earlier on regarding Walga, and I think it's important that that's clarified because the CEO was very clear when answering a question from a resident today. The first recommendation for Walga in the quarter ending March was 3.1%, with the scenario if it could be a lot worse, up to 4.8%, which is what we worked on. The last one that came in, the scenario was 3.5%. That was where it is now, but that's not including where any scenario could go and what the potential risks were. And if we have a look at the last 3 quarters, the first quarter was when the war began and oil prices went through the roof, and boom, we know what happened to fuel. Second quarter, the government stepped in and dropped the levy significantly, and they doubled down on that. So, of course, fuel prices went down. That levy's now been put up, and it's for those who've paid attention. Diesel's gone up 30% in the last 10 days from $1.67 to $2.17. So I'm guessing that the next quarter, if we sat and waited for it, that it would be nowhere near what we're looking at now. It could be significant because fuel prices for a local government, all our rubbish trucks, everything and stuff like that. And it's only a small amount. That 1% for each ratepayer is not what we think it is. I think Councillor Hetherington said it, we're a strong council because we're prudent and we're community focused, and we take it seriously what we do. We're not a council that increases rates or up rates or take more than we need. We really do want to be diligent with what we do, and that's why we're at what we are, because we don't want to punish future residents and our community and our children and grandchildren on actually picking up the pieces of a deficit, which at this 1% at 1.3 million over 10 years is probably going to cost this council $20 million, maybe more compounded. I haven't done the maths, but I think I'll be pretty close. So Councillor Hetherington has said at a wide council, we do a balanced budget. We don't leave a deficit. We don't leave burdens for our future community. I think this is a good budget. We've worked hard. There's always tweaking that can be done in the budget. We get that. We're always putting pressure on our officers to save money, be better at what we do, put new things in place. We're not lazy on that. We do that all the time. And, you know, I think it would be unwise of us to go backwards. And I think this is not going forwards. This is status quo. You know, I believe we should be going forward as a council. However, I support this budget as it is, and well done to the officers and for the councillors who played a part in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Busby. Councillor Peter, would you like to speak?
Of course, Madam. Thank you very much. Finally, I got an opportunity to speak about the item. And thank you, Councillor Newman. You put a motion, a procedure motion. that is actually stopping a discussion about the big budget. That's a good thing. Madam Mayor, I think I will start with the Councillor Paul. Councillor Paul is well articulate the need for opposing the motion, and also specified we spent nearly 6 months to discuss this budget. That is a clear point I need to start with. That's a clear point. When we were preparing the rates report, the proposal was 3.7%. Initially, we prepared the budget based on the 3.7%. And in the March quarter, the Walga report come out and they say they're expecting 4.8% LGCI. That is the local government cost index. Then there is a briefing from the CEO and executive director. Then we say, okay, the Walga is predicting LGCI will be 4.8%. Then we change the scenario. Then we prepare for 4.8%. Now the June quarter, the same organization, same economist, they come back and say the LGCI, local government cost index, is 3.3%. Then we are not ready to accept it. So that is like confusing. When the same association, same economist, they predicting 3.3, then we preparing for 4.8, saying there is an economic condition will change, so we need to adopt the 4.8% budget. Madam Chair, I think that is the not a reasonable approach, because we, as per the recommendation, if this motion failed, I would like to move an amendment recommendation with the 3% rate increase. That's I would like to foreshadow if the motion is failed. Now, Madam Mayor, you go to the say there will be a 3.2%, $1.302 million deficit. It won't be a deficit, Madam Mayor, because as per the predictions, the LGCI is 3.3%, and we budget this budget based on the 4.8% increase. If the local government cost indexes go up only by 3.3%, then we still have another 1.7% in the surplus budget. So there won't be any deficit. Technically, there will be a deficit budget because we prepare the budget based on the 4.8%. If the actual cost index going to be a 3.3%, there won't be any deficit. So end of the year, the deficit will become a surplus. That is the first point I need to bring this point to the chamber, Madam Mayor. And also, Madam Mayor, to justify the new cost index. If you're looking on a few local government, they declare they're going to increase by 6% or 7%. For example, City of Gosna's SJ and Serpentine, the few councils, they declare they're going to increase by 6%. Finally, they adopted close to 4.2%. That is I believe that's the responsible council. They're trying to listen from the residents, and also they're looking on the data. That's an important thing. So they're looking on the data. The latest prediction is 3.3%. So they adopted, that's a 4% rate increase. And also, Madam Chair, when we're preparing the budget, we all discuss, okay, the council's basic policy, okay, LGCI plus or minus 0.5%. That is, we have a discussion around. So now the LGCI is 3%, and now 3.3%, and we are not happy to adopt 3.8%. So last 7 years when I was council in the chamber, we all discussed, okay, LGCI and Council Bus, we always specify, City of Armadale, because he has a 12 years experience here, okay, I will normally follow the policy LGCI plus 0.5. But now we are adopting a strong opposite decisions, LGCI plus 1.5%. Madam, I understand the cost is going everywhere, not only for residents. But if you're looking on the real wage growth and the inflation, the real wage growth is only 2%. The real question, if you're going to increase the rate by 4.8%, how the residents is going to pay? They need to cut their meals, or they need to cut their school fees for the children. So where they kind to find out the money? that is an important question we need to find out, Madam Chair. So it is easy. We can finalize. We can say, 4.8%, and we putting a operational budget of $176 million. So we need 4.8%. It is easy to run the business, make it 4.8% or 10%. It is easy to run the business. I believe the responsibility, in my view, the responsibility of the council is to consider the human element to the budget. The residents is struggling, and we need to support the residents when the living cost is going up. So I think that is the reason I am moving an amendment to make it 3%. And also the LGCI predicting only 3.3%. Another point, Madam Mayor, I need to bring is City of Armadale. I think we have discussed this matter many times. The average rate in the City of Armadale is nearly $250 higher than the City of Perth Metro City average. So the residents in this area is already paying higher rate, and they really struggling. And we are increasing the rate by 4.8. That is far higher than the predicted local government cost index. So I request the councillors look on all the numbers, and we need to support our residents. And so I urge the residents, urge the councillors, look on the numbers, and we need to adopt a 3.3% or 3% rate increase. And also, Madam Chair, the CPI, Consumer Price Index. If you're looking on the prediction from the last few months, the Consumer Price Index is going down from 4.2 to 3.9 now, and we expecting it will be reached by 3% by end of next financial year. And we all talking about the fuel cost. It is going up. That will influence the CPI. I agree that point. But the latest report from the federal government, we have a strong reserve for the fuel. So even though there is a war in the world, in the Middle East, but we have enough fuel stock so we can survive. And if the fuel price is gone up, it is not only affecting the City of Armadale, it is affecting the residents. So we need to consider that point of view, Madam Chair. And also I have a few more points to bring, Madam Chair. If you looking on the, and also Councillor Paul is mentioned that the productivity. Yeah, the productivity doesn't mean that we need to increase our rate. The productivity depends on how technologically we can improve our capacity, and that will convert, for example, our One Council project, that will provide a better service and also increase productivity to our residents. I think that is an important part of the improving productivity. And if you're looking on all the economists around the world, and also in the Australia, they're talking about the city of not City of Armadale, or the Australia's productivity need to improve. Otherwise, we can't survive. So based on the point, Madam, I don't have a chance to wrap up. So I just requesting all the councillors, please support a 3% increase rather than 4.8. That will be a burden to the entire community. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Peter. Councillors, is there anyone to speak for the motion? Councillor Keogh.
Thank you, Mayor. I got to say, I was listening to Councillor Peter talk, and I couldn't help but think it was quite absurd, the situation we find ourselves in when we're discussing the fuel reserves of the country when we're trying to decide our budget. It's quite astronomical in that sense, but it also is quite prudent for us to be considering such things because, of course, it does have quite a detrimental effect on our budget finances. So I guess we are in quite different times that we're not sort of used to, and so that is why I guess we do face ourselves in quite a difficult situation where we're having to think about, well, where do we land on these rates or these percentage increases? In regards to the rate, I think that a lot of this is out of our control with the ongoing issues with the Middle East and other ongoing international conflicts. I note that we have softened the fuel excise over the last few months, and it was halved, and then they brought part of that back. So we're sort of having a soft effect on that at the moment. So even with us recognising that we were at 3.1% that Walga had with the LGCI, then increased to 3.5, that's still taking into account a 32 cents and a 16 cents reduction in the cost. So we're still not really facing the full impacts of the ongoing international conflicts. The city, I do note the city does have a compassionate approach to those facing difficulty to pay or hardship, and this of course is available to residents. We are also, as a council, exploring ways to find different sources of revenue in addition to the residential ratepayers, and I'm sure all of us on council are mindful of trying to work out ways in which we can broaden that scope further. We have been advised by city officers that anything less than 4.8% would result in cuts to services, and as previously mentioned with the prior recommendation, we saw that would result in a budget deficit. With LGCI currently being at 3.5, we don't know what that could be in the future. It would most likely definitely be higher. So that is why I am actually wanting to stay committed to the 4.8%. As mentioned earlier, we're one of the fastest growing local governments in Australia, and that requires a lot of development. We're affected by a lot of growth, and we're needing a lot of investment, which of course is unique to the city of Armidale. So we can of course compare ourselves to many different cities, but in other circumstances, particularly when it comes to the budget, we do need to make decisions that relate specifically to our unique position in that space. And so considering all of those things, I believe that this budget seeks to do this in a responsible and a sustainable way. And for those reasons, I remain committed and supportive of the 4.8% rise as initially suggested by the officers and by other councillors prior. But I do wish to finish by also acknowledging and thanking the officers for their work in getting this budget together. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Keogh. Anyone to speak against? Councillor Silva.
Quickly, I just wanted to clarify, because I didn't get to speak in the last section of that. Sorry, 1 second. I don't want to go wading into all the facts again. We have said what we said. We said it multiple times. We talk about it here. We talk about behind closed doors. But I just wanted to clarify to you all that I understand and respect the process we've gone through to reach this point. You know, I've been through many of these. So I just want you to know that I was consistently expressing my view that we need to be more conservative with our spending regarding the whole budget, not just the rate increase, but the whole budget for the whole of our city. I'm not referring to rising costs of construction or maintaining assets we already have, or even our service costs. My concern is with the new commitments we continue to make. I believe it would be inconsistent for me to raise these concerns behind closed doors with you all and then support the original recommendation today. I understand that my position may not have the support of many other councillors, but I hope you can respect that I believe it is important to vote in a way that reflects the views I have consistently put forward, and for that reason I won't support this recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Silva. Anyone to speak for the motion? We've just had an against, so I might just wrap up. Sorry. Sorry, we've just had...
I'm sorry, I did want to speak and I haven't been given the opportunity.
I'm just trying to, if you're going to speak on against it, I was going for or against, I just asked if there's anyone for. Yeah. Sorry, and there's no one, so I was just going to wrap up.
And then I'm not allowed to speak. I was going to speak to us, that's all. Look, I will just make a couple of comments then in 4, so that we can even this up. And it will just be bringing your attention back to the fact that we've had different figures mentioned by various councillors, and I'd just like to bring you back to the fact that 3.3 was mentioned as being the final Walga. That's not correct, it's 3.5, and that was the lower limit. They didn't give us an upper level in this latest round of assessment, so it was a little bit
lacking on their part. So that has gone up, and I acknowledge that it would be very difficult on a night like tonight to reduce the rates without reducing something, and a deficit was one way that was suggested, and that has proven not to be desirable. And for our long-term financial health indicator, I think that it's important that we don't start going into deficit. So I would be, I did intend on speaking against that. And I think that it's very important to keep our financial health and that indicator healthy, and there is a healthy range for it. We're in there at the moment. That financial health indicator is incredibly important, and if we don't raise the amount of money that we need to pay for our OPEX budget and our CAPEX budget, then our financial health indicator, which, as I have mentioned before, does affect our our borrowing capacity and the way that the state government looks at our financial stability. Often we find that councils that find themselves in trouble and in deep trouble and needing inspectors to come in and have a look at what's going on, it's their budget that is the thing that has tripped them up. Internal politics and personalities might cause arguments, but it is their budgeting and their ability to serve the community that is affected when internal politics and personalities come to make it so that it's so difficult to set a budget, and the budget process becomes politicised, and then it goes off the rails. And then your financial indicator is all over the place and is being affected. And then the inspectors have a look at your budget. So I'm incredibly proud of the fact that we look at our budget strategically. We go for a 15-year financial plan. We distill that down into a four-year plan, and then our budget comes out of that. I really understand the community's concern at the moment and the hardship with which some people are suffering. And I see this as an opportunity, taking on board what everyone said around the table and cost of living pressures. We will now go into a new process of budgeting for the next year. So soon after this budget is adopted, we will start that process again. And I'm fully committed to having a very, very deep dive, and I believe that we'll be able to do it this time with the assistance of the One Council programs that we've had come on board very recently. So I'm happy for this rate increase and this budget to be adopted as is, and just with that note that some of the figures being thrown around have been potentially they are incorrect. So I'm happy to speak on behalf and commit it to.
One question.
Yes.
So you mentioned that the numbers you are in the chamber, I think I put it as 3.3%. So I have a solid evidence from the WALGA website. The predicted LGC high for 2026-27 is 3.3%. You're talking about the current last financial year, 25-26 is the 3.5%. Thank you.
Yeah, that is the figure we've always used.
Sorry, that's the figure that we've been talking about and using. The 3.5. Sorry, I'm just getting advice from the officers that that's the one what we're talking about. So I don't know where you were getting yours from, because we're not.
3.3 is the 26-27 financial year projected LGCI, not 3.5. 3.3.
Through you, Mayor, we never use the year going forward. We always use the current year LGCI, which is 3.5, so you are correct, Mayor.
Thank you for that correction. So 3.5 is the number that we're looking at using, Councillor Peter, not last year's.
Not next year's.
Oh, sorry, next year's.
Yeah.
Sorry, next year's.
Dr. Wellinger.
So I've spoken on in favour. Councillor Willingi, you want to speak against?
Just briefly, thank you. Thanks everyone for what everyone has said. I think everyone is basically right. I do want to, just for the residents, that they may not understand the local government cost index and CPI and how that's related. So yes, we always increase our rates basically by the local government cost index because it's the equivalent of CPI but for local governments, so it takes into account the things like fuel. So I don't think anyone is against raising it by the local government cost index. It's just that this year there was, as has been said, it went up and then it went down and up and down, and no one's got the crystal ball to find out how that may land in the end, and so I suppose the 4.8 is trying to be as cautious as possible. I was going to foreshadow, if this motion failed, 4.3, but I'm guessing there's no appetite for that. I did want to say, it has been said we've never adopted a deficit, but perhaps we could be reminded that sometimes we do have a surplus, and this is how these cost indexes that are predictions play out to the end of the year. And I think this is what a fellow councillor was trying to say, that it might not be the deficit that you think it's going to be by the end of the year, but we cannot predict that. So I can see why there's a lot of concern and caution, especially because of the fuel. That is obvious, but as has been said, there is a cost of living crisis, and so I personally was hoping we had been given some options in our briefings, and reducing it by 0.5% was what I was looking at, but I seem to be the only one looking at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Willinga. Councillor Mosey?
I just have a question, if I can.
Yep, sure.
I'd like to bring it back, I guess, to it being about the budget, as Councillor Busby mentioned, rather than about the rate increase. My question is, could either the CEO or the Exec Director explain, and bearing in mind I'm the Chair of Corporate Services, I've read this agenda a number of times and I'm still going to be asking this question. Can they please explain in layman's terms how we've been able to arrive at a balanced budget, and note for us any potential impacts to next year's LTFP deliberations, service levels and or CapEx program, please?
Thank you, Mayor. I will ask the Executive Director of Corporate Services to respond to this. We had anticipated such a question, and there is mention of it in the budget report, but I'm comfortable for him to elaborate further. I would just add that those growth funds were, for example, where we had budgeted for the operating costs of the Armidale Regional Recreation Centre, but that is not going to be coming due in 26-27. So what it means is we will need to budget out of next year's growth funds for that.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Councillor Mosey?
Yes, thank you.
Is there anyone to speak for the motion? Anyone against? If not, who am I going to wrap up? Councillor Hetherington.
Thank you, Mayor. Only to say thank you for the professional exchange of views tonight. This is always a conversation that generates a lot of emotion, but healthy debate is a good a sign of good governance, I believe. So thank you. But as I said before, this is a budget that maintains services, it invests in our community, and it places the city on a sound footing for the year ahead. And so I'm confident that this is the budget we should be supporting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hetherington. I will put it to the vote then, and we're going to go for the whole kit and caboodle, I think. So I will put that whole motion to council. All those in favour? Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion is won and an absolute majority has been achieved. That takes us through to where? Going back to the beginning of the agenda, to motions of which previous notice have been given. Councillor Stoneham.
Yes, I would like to put forward an alternate recommendation to that put forward and the motion of prior notice, please. If we could bring it up on the screen. Would you like me to read it out? So, I am asking that we authorise the CEO to inform LGIS, that's the Local Government Insurance Scheme, of its decision to settle its claim in relation to the Settlers Common Environment Centre under the City's policy by accepting a cash settlement.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes.
Oh, actually, I'll ask. Yes, you can speak to it, and then I'll ask if there's a seconder and whatnot.
Well, you can. Okay. So, our strategic community plan, economic development strategy and tourism strategy all speak to creating destinations, growing our visitor economy and delivering transformational projects. We've had a lot of deliberation tonight about money and where money comes from and where money goes and how we get money and the rising costs of delaying construction or how things get moved around. It's all a bit confusing. But at the end of the day, we want to build something that our city is proud of. And I think building an environment centre that we can be proud of demonstrates to our community and our residents and residents beyond our community that we truly live the promise of where city meets country. It's on a thing above the road coming into Armidale. In March, we resolved to undertake an options analysis and business case for what to do with the Environment Centre, and that is our opportunity to make sure we create a destination worthy of the City of Armidale. Somewhere families can spend the weekend, schools can come and visit. I know schools, even with the old Environment Centre at Settlers Common, schools were visiting all the time. Community groups can go somewhere to gather, and visitors to the City of Armidale can enjoy the City of Armidale. They can get off the train, they can walk through our city, activating our city, activating Joel Street Mall, which we are all quite concerned about at the moment, and provide activity and economic growth to our centre. When we build places that our residents are proud of, our visitors want to experience them too. That's how communities are strengthened, that's how local businesses grow, that's how jobs are created, and investment follows. I appreciate that the insurance settlement is central to the motion before us tonight, but if we allow the insurance settlement to determine the outcome, we risk a once-in-a-generation opportunity here. The insurance outcome should support our vision, not define it. So, in conclusion, our city deserves more than that. I'm so passionate about the city of Armidale and what we can make it. And we have an opportunity now to create something our community will be proud of for the next 50 years. We shouldn't have to settle for rebuilding the last 50. So I urge my fellow councillors to support my recommendation this evening, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Stoneham. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Wallinga. Do I have anyone opposed? Thank you, Councillor Mosey. Councillor Wallinga, would you like to speak?
Yes, just briefly. We've heard that the Environment Centre that we lost was just a very small place. It didn't even have toilets, and so just rebuilding that does seem like a bit of a shame. It could be an opportunity to develop something bigger and better with tourism and economic development in mind. But we were waiting for the business case from the officers where we'd asked, could they please have a look at other environment centres around Perth to see what had worked and what hadn't worked, to give us some direction. And I'm concerned that if we put essentially a shed back where it was, where would that leave us at that site? I mean, it takes possibly the best part of the site, and it could be really inconvenient to work around. So I'd prefer to leave it to where we were going to see the business case. And it's already been said, I think for the economic development and tourism, I think it would be a really good point for the city to have this extra centre.
Thank you, Councillor Wallinga. Councillor Mosey, would you like to speak?
I would love to speak, please. Firstly, I would just like to say that somehow it seems that my motion has been taken as an attack on our amazing environmental groups. It absolutely was not intended to be that. It absolutely is not that. So please, I hope that is not the takeaway. I actually also wanted to commend the amazing people that are sitting in our gallery right there tonight. I think it really speaks to, and I love to see the passion for our environment from our residents and these amazing environmental groups. So again, it's not about an attack on them. It is not about not giving them what they deserve, not at all. I guess my concern, and the reason that I raise this, is because we've already just heard we've got a real squeeze in terms of our budget. We've got concerns, rightful concerns around our cost of living pressures and the need to increase rates. And now we're considering, potentially considering accepting a roughly $650,000 settlement from our insurance to then go towards something that's likely going to cost between $5 and $10 million. And in all realism, based on all evidence of all of the other major projects that we are considering or have been considering, likely be 5 to 10 years away. So, but accepting the insurance offer of like for like, we will likely get something that's worth between 1 and 1.2 million. We're likely to get it within a year or so. And it doesn't have to be that that's it. Absolutely, I see that as stage one. Of course, we want to give these groups a much bigger and better and more amazing, environment centre than they had. This would simply be the first step in that. We can get those groups back in where they very happily resided and carried on for more than 20 years. So that's the only intent here. It's a shame that it's had to come down to an urgent motion and not, we can't probably give it as much consideration as we can, but you will have seen, hopefully my fellow councillors will have seen, the email from the CEO that essentially we are now squeezed by our insurance company that we must make a decision one way or the other, essentially, tonight. We did hear from some great questions from members of the public tonight. I just wanted to touch on a couple of those if I could. One was talking about the concern around like for like, but I would just, I suppose, want to say that like for like absolutely still has to meet now modern standards, including things like bushfire regs, accessibility, etc. So whilst it would be like for like to some degree, it would be a much more modern facility for these groups. There also was a question around the fact that often there is state and federal funding available for these sorts of things. And of course that would be amazing, but there's absolutely no guarantee that we would get that funding, particularly given we've hit them up pretty hard for Central Park, Carlup Journey Place. We are hitting them up for the Armidale Regional Rec Reserve, etc., etc. So there's absolutely no guarantee around that. What else did I want to say? So yeah, I think that the likelihood, the only way I foresee getting this any sooner than that 5 to 10 year mark is if we start pushing out things that we've got other people around this table, passionate about that currently are in our LTFP, are funded and are meant to be delivered in the next few years. Things like the Armidale Regional Rec Reserve, the potential at the courthouse, the potential at Church Road, St Francis Xavier Church, Hilbert Library, Kelmscott Public Realm, the Urban Forest, etc. All of those, I feel, would have to be in jeopardy to get the Taj Mahal of environment centres that we're talking about immediately. Absolutely, I think that's what we should be aiming for, but I think that we should do it by first getting them a like-for-like replacement at where they were at Armidale Settlers Common, and then we can more, fully consider, is that the best place for the Taj Mahal of environment centres, or is somewhere like Forestdale Lake a better position? And then that potentially that site up at Armidale Settlers Common could become our head of trails, could become an education centre and our full environment centre down there, etc. I would also say that, look, I think that all I want to do, I guess, to reiterate, is I just want to get you stage one replacement that's quick and financially responsible. We've seen what happened with the Rolling Stone Theatre, where whilst you might be comfortable, and I guess I'm speaking to the public gallery here, whilst our groups may be comfortable with their current situation, whilst we determine what we do about the environment centre, there's no guarantee that that will continue. The Rolling Stone Theatre had to move 4 times in the time that it took us to rebuild the Rolling Stone Theatre. So whilst right now they might be at Craig Park, there's no guarantee that in 6 months' time we don't ask them to move somewhere else, and then again 6 months after that ask them to move somewhere else. So I think this allows us to alleviate that. It allows us to be financially responsible, and we've just had a very, very strong debate around our budget. So, but the last thing I also wanted to say is that if my motion fails, if this passes and therefore my motion fails, that, look, I hope I'm wrong about the timelines. I hope I'm wrong about not being able to get federal or state funding, because I want absolutely to give these environmental groups, our community groups, the amazing facility they no doubt deserve. I really do. I just think this is a great first step and a responsible first step.
Thank you, Councillor Mosey. Is there anyone to speak for the motion? Councillor Peter?
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree one point with the Councillor Mosey. $650,000 is a big money. I agree that point. But the like-to-like facility, that is not there necessary now, because that facility built years and years back. And the population is growing, and we need a better facility. There is no question around that. And also, Councillor Mosey, if the city have a desire to build a facility within 1 or 2 years, we can do that. The classic example is the Central Park. $50 million we are going to finish in 1 or 2 years' time. the fire station. So we have a lot of classical example. If the city have a desire to build a better facility within 1 or 2 years' time, we can do that. There is no question about that. And we can find out the budget. There are a lot of opportunity to get the grant, and we can also, the city have a reserve. If you want to use the reserve, we can use it. I think the environmental center is one of the best facility and most desired facility for the city of Armadale. And especially, we are most developing area. There are a lot of trees are bulldozing. We're getting a lot of places is house building, and we're getting less green area. So I think we need to facilitate a better facility, not a like-to-like facility for the environment center. And we need to build it, and we can build within 1 or 2 years' time. And also, Madam Chair, I need to mention, the Councillor Mosi mentioned that the Rolling Stone Theatre is moved from one facility to 2 facilities. But that is a normal practice. But if you decide to build within 2 years' time, then they will get a better facility. Then you no need to move from one facility to other facilities. The city have a lot of facilities. I believe from the comment from the environment team, they're happy to wait for a while, and they're happy to take a better facility, not the like-to-like facilities. And also, Madam Chair, in 23rd March, we decided to allocate $200,000 to get a feasibility report. I think that is an important decision the city took, because whenever we take a decision, overnight decision to build something without a proper report, it's going to be a nightmare for the city. Not only financial, consumers, you said $650,000 is a big money, I agreed, but if you decide to take a decision without a proper report, the city is going to lose the money. The classical example is Viravilla, the fire station. We have a lot of example if you not take a decision without a proper report. So I will support Councillor Sonam's current report to accept the LGIC, the claim, and to get a feasibility report and build a better facility for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Peter. Anyone to speak? Where are we up to? Against the motion? Councillor Keogh.
Thank you, Mayor. I understand a number of the issues that have been raised and share a lot of those concerns, I guess. I guess I'll start by also thanking the volunteers for joining us tonight and recognising that great volunteer spirit and the passion for the environment. It's great that we have such a very strong contingent of you staying till the end here of us discussing this topic. I guess the concerns I have is, and I agree with a lot of what Councillor Mosi has said. First of all, the time aspect. Even if we were lucky enough to get the money of those grants, as Councillor Mosi said, we're very much thin as it is in terms of staff being able to do those jobs and those roles. We're talking about, of course, another building that we're going to be constructing, and that always, I don't know if we've, well, actually, no, we have. We've had buildings get on time and budget, but it's rare. And that's not just an us thing, that's an everybody thing. So even if we were to say, all right, we're in here from 2 years, I could never sort of say that's guaranteed. I don't think anyone in this room could say that if we were to start that immediately. I don't think we could start that immediately either. So I'm very much concerned about the time constraints. I share Councillor Mosi's concerns that it could very much be, if we're looking at, and the word grandiose came to mind with the ways in which some of these councillors are talking about this vision. It would be great, of course, but I worry that it definitely would cause this to be something that we wouldn't be able to start construction on for another 5 years or so at least. The feasibility issue was mentioned. I think Councillor Mosi's recommendation that doesn't negate that. We still would have that feasibility, and we'd be looking at this this building as a stage 1 kind of concept, I imagine. It would definitely be a like for like, but at the same time, I'm sure we could have some parameters where we can build upon that, should we be successful with other grants or any other kind of changes to the context in which we're in. Sorry, I'm just trying to read my writing. I also think that it's just pertinent that we're stuck again in this situation where if we don't say yes to this now, we're going to lose out in, you know, some $500,000, $600,000 worth of free money, which I think is a responsible choice for us to take up, get the building closer to being in actuality rather than having it as a big question mark and having less money. So I think it's prudent for us to take that approach of wanting to get that payout and then exploring ways in which we can get a building up and running for our community as quickly as possible, rather than having that very much up in the air. So I think this is a right decision for us to make. I still don't think it means we can't build onto it. It doesn't mean we can change things and parameters down the line. And I'd imagine, again, I'm sorry I can't talk for the environment group, but I imagine that they would want to be a little bit more sure on their footings with having a building that they can operate out in effectively, rather than it being something like a 5+ year down the track thing. Again, recognising it's not taking away from that possibility of that environment centre being, of course, fantastic and the best one that exists in the state. That's not taking this away from the cards. This is just allowing us to get that process, I think, started a little bit more early, and also allowing us to get a bit more of that money available to us to actually ensure that we're in a position to get that building started. So that is why I actually agree with Councillor Mosey's recommendation and oppose Councillor Stoneham's. I would highly encourage you to consider Councillor Mosey's motion to be a prudent choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Keogh. Is there anyone to speak for either side? Sorry, I was just going to ask, I better stick then. Anyone to speak for it? Yep, Councillor Busby.
I've been pretty neutral on this all day. For those who've spoken to me on the phone, I've been really neutral, really not sure which way to go. I don't like either motion happening here at a council meeting, to be honest. I always prefer it to be done through a committee meeting where we could have robust discussions and longer thoughts. And, as I heard the community here today, they made a couple of comments that I think all of the councillors should remember what they said. We're willing to wait. We don't want a like for like. We're willing to wait. That's what I heard. I might have heard wrong, but that's what I wrote down. And if we are representing the community and we're representing that group, one of those groups, because there are more than them, then we should be listening to that, and making a motion to actually build like for like is not really what was said today in the questions. That's what I heard. I also, through some emails today with the CEO that we all got regarding it, and in the one of the notes today, that already, because we've gone past 6 months and we're into 9 months, we've already lost 15%. By the time we even vote on this today, by the time it gets to our offices, by the time we get to design something, by the time I think we're going to be talking 2 to 3 months, maybe even longer. So the chances are we're not going to get a lot more than the 650. We might get 700, 800, depending, but the insurance company are going to penalise us for taking as long as we have, which to be honest, is probably disappointing. However, in March, we gave guidance for the long-term financial plan that we wanted a business case. So as I've read most of this stuff today and whatever, I believe that we should honour what we have decided to do, which was a business case. We put money towards it. I don't believe we'll get a very good like-for-like with insurance money. I believe we're going to have to kick in maybe $400,000, potentially more of our own, and we don't know that tonight. We would need a report for that. So we're actually potentially making a decision. So I'm okay, knowing the community's happy to wait, knowing that it doesn't have to be the Taj Mahal, it doesn't have to be a $5 million facility, it could be a $2 million facility. It depends on what the business case says and where it goes and whatever. So I'm now keen to support just taking the money, put it in the bank, and and look at the future. I do remember when we were first announced, I can't remember what committee meeting we're in and where we were, but I remember when we were given the terrible news that it had burnt down and we were given an update. There was comments made right at that time, let's make a bad thing to happen, really, maybe a really good opportunity for us to do something special. Now, what we can do special, I don't know until we get the business case. So I wouldn't have supported Councillor Mosey's motion for that reason, even more so after hearing the community group speak today to say they're willing to wait. And so if they're willing to wait, we should be willing to wait. So I'm happy to support. Let's get the money and see where we go.
Thank you, Councillor Busby. Is there anyone to speak against the motion? For the motion?
Can I just ask a question? Sorry, please.
Yes, sure.
Just triggered me. Not triggered. That's the wrong word. It just tweaked. The question was what Councillor Busby said. What would happen to the money? Would it be put in a reserve, quarantined, and only to be used on a future environment centre?
Through the chair, yes.
Answer your question? Yes? Okay. Is there anyone else to speak for or against? If not, I might just wrap up by saying that either side of the debate tonight, the community can be confident that everyone is supporting an environment centre of some grander stature than was there before. So either way this vote goes tonight, there is a desire amongst councillors to provide an environment centre in its true form, perhaps more than an environment centre. We've had comments about tourism and trails and all sorts. So I think there's a bright future either way. If this is just the first step in a grander plan for, build one first and then build the other, the additional bits, or it goes to a business case and we work out how to work out the one larger facility, wherever it might go. I don't think anyone has argued against the business case either, so that's really good. So either side of the debate is still seeking a business case and agreeing with that. So all in all, I think that we can be very, and the community groups and environment groups can be very happy and feeling secure about the future of environment groups and your place in our hearts and in our community. So I think that either way that it goes, you've been acknowledged as being very important to the city, and there's many ways to skin a cat. And with that, I will hand over to Councillor Stoneham to wrap up.
Thank you very much, councillors, and thank you for your considerate and respectful debate. Just to wrap up, as we've heard tonight, the Environment Centre, when it burned down, was a tragedy, particularly the loss of the library. But I think the group themselves, as well as many of us, almost saw it like an opportunity for a phoenix to rise from the ashes and make something more special. Just to comment on the insurance, if this was not an insurance issue, we might not be having the debate in this sense at this time. I would like to point out that the Rolling Stone Theatre was not an insurance debate issue. It wasn't an insurance issue. We had to build it, so it dragged out. We are under a bit of pressure from the insurance to make a decision. If we make a like-for-like decision, that means we're building a shed with a sink where it currently burnt down, right? If we take the 650 and the business case comes back and it says, actually, we'd be better off going to Forestdale Lake, then we've got 650,000 to put towards that. But if we have to go like for like, we are putting a shed with a sink back at Settlers Common. That's what we're doing. We're not going to get more money for building a Taj Mahal. Nobody's mentioned a Taj Mahal. I did not mention $5 to $10 million. That is not the intent. Okay, we've had lots of talks about what could be there, and it's not actually about a Taj Mahal thing. It's about a multi-purpose thing and how that might look, and how many members of the community, and our residents and visitors and tourism and economy, and celebration of our bushland, encouraging people to look at our trees, to take care of our trees. All of those things can come together in this one particular project. As you can tell, I'm a little bit passionate about it. So I would like to thank you very much for hearing me out this evening, and I hope the council will support the recommendation that I put forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Stoneham. I will put it to the vote then. We have a motion in front of us, not the original, but a motion all the same. So I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? All those opposed? And the motion is won. Thank you very much, everybody, for that debate. We'll move on now to urgent business approved by the person presiding. There is none. Matters for referral to standing committees without discussion.
Yeah, I have two, Madam Mayor. Review of council meeting procedure and protocol. The second one is review of council ward system.
Thank you, Councillor Peter. Any further matters for referral? If not, we'll go on to matters requiring confidential consideration at 14.1 and ask that the public, we're going behind closed doors now, so if I could ask you to go home. No, you are allowed to come back in after the meeting. At the closure of the meeting, we do have to go behind closed doors to discuss the CEO's KPIs. Then we'll come out from behind closed doors and finish the meeting, but there's not much left on the agenda. Thank you very much for coming along. So just a reminder that we are going behind closed doors for this item. Could I have a mover that we go behind closed doors? Thank you. Councillor Peter is moved. Anyone opposed? No one's opposed. Thank you very much. And we're asking the staff to leave us for the time being. me to begin? Live streaming. Thank you, councillors. I would like to conclude tonight's meeting by acknowledging that this is Jason Lyons' last meeting at the City of Armidale. So I would like to thank him for his, what is it, 8 years now? 8 years of service and 8 budgets successfully adopted. Thank you very much for your time. Your advice has always been, you've always been very accommodating with additional ideas to do with the budget, and you have assisted councillors over those 8 years to try and reduce rates and fit into a tight budget lots of the things that we as councillors in our communities want. There's lots of wants out there, and it's very often limited ways of getting money. So there's always this push-pull, but you have managed to get us through those periods where we have had to be in putting our fiscal minds to the grindstone. So thank you very much for your service to the City of Armidale, and I wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to say anything?
I'd like to officially move that we reject his resignation.
Yeah.